Hello dear children, it's Naziya Ustad from St. Joseph's High School welcomes you to the part 3 of the chapter Friction. In this video, we are going to learn ways of increasing and reducing friction and fluid friction. Increasing and reducing friction. You can easily hold a glass tumbler in your hand. But will the same be true if the outer surface of the same glass tumbler is made greasy or has applied cooking oil over it? It is due to the friction that we can write, hold, or can produce fire. It is difficult to move a heavy box on a rough surface, but it can be moved easily on a smooth surface. Friction opposes motion and can be increased if two surfaces in contact are pressed harder. Friction can be increased or reduced by various methods. Have you ever thought why our shoes and tires are grooved? It is done to provide better grip on the ground. To increase the friction, the brakes are provided in the vehicles. As the brakes are applied, the brake pads arrest the motion of the rim due to friction. Do you know why the kabaddi players or gymnasts apply some core of substance on their hands? They do so to increase the friction for better grip. In many situations, friction is undesirable, and so it is necessary to minimize it. You must have played with the game of carom. We sprinkle the powder on the carom board to reduce the friction, so that the striker and the carom coins move smoothly on the board. Sometimes it is difficult to open the door. In such situation, we pour few drops of oil on the hinges of a door, which reduces friction and makes the movement of the door smooth. Due to repeated use, the friction between the moving parts of the machines increases, which reduces its efficiency. On applying grease, the friction between the moving parts reduces and thus the efficiency increases. It is difficult to move a heavy suitcase, but the same suitcase can be moved easily if it is provided with the wheels, as wheels reduce friction. Does friction exist between only solid parts? Not necessarily. Friction is offered by fluids like air and water as well. And this force of friction due to fluids is referred to as fluid friction. The friction we have seen between solid parts is referred to as dry friction. The major states of matter are solid, liquid, and gases. The liquids and gases are generally referred to as fluids. Why are liquids and gases are considered to be fluids? One common character is that the fluids have no fixed shape and can be easily deformed. Let's discuss a bit more about fluid friction in this video. Just like solids, fluids too exert a force of friction when objects move through them. Do you think air offers resistance? Doesn't seem intuitive, right? When I drop a stone from a particular height, it falls to the ground. Does air offer resistance here? Of course it does. What about water? Does it offer resistance? Yes, when the fish swim, they encounter fluid resistance from the water. The frictional force exerted by fluids is also referred to as drag. What does fluid friction depend on? Let's talk about the first obvious factor, it's the nature of the fluid. To understand this point, you just need to answer a simple question. An object moves from point A to B through air, and the second case, a similar object travels from A to B through water. Which object do you think encounters more resistance? Clearly, it will be the water, right? Yes, more the thickness of the fluid, greater will the frictional force acting on an object which moves through it. There is a term described as a fluid resistance to flow. It's called viscosity. So here we can say that the water is more viscous than air. Higher the viscosity, more will be the resistance offered by that fluid. Honey is more viscous than water, which is why it offers more friction than water. That was the first factor affecting fluid friction, the nature of the fluid. Can you think of any other factor? Another factor, which is speed with which object is moving. Higher the speed of the object moving through a fluid, greater will be the frictional force acting on it. A vehicle traveling at 100 miles per hour will face more drag of air as compared to the similar vehicle traveling at 50 miles per hour. Apart from the nature of the fluid and the speed with which the object is traveling, is there any other factor on which fluid friction depends on? Yes, it also depends on the shape of the object, and it's really important that we have understood this factor well. Have you ever thought about why aeroplanes are shaped like this? It could just have been a rectangular box flying in the air. How have the fish evolved to be shaped like this? Why are the ships designed to be given the shape? There is a reason for all this. They have given streamlined shapes to minimize the fluid friction. The shape of the aeroplane, if you notice, is like that of a bird. This process of giving an object a particular shape to decrease the fluid friction is known as streamlining. Streamlining the object can greatly reduce the resistance offered by the fluids. A car faces lesser friction from air as it has streamlined shape. A bus, on the other hand, will face more resistance as it doesn't have a streamlined shape. So, these were the different factors on which the fluid friction depends: nature of the fluid, speed of the object, and the shape of the object. Dear children, we are at the end of this chapter. I hope that these 3 videos will help you for better understanding of this chapter.